Good morning, everyone. This is Arbony Cooper-Gibbs. Hope you're doing well. Thank you so much for joining the Title II monthly update webinar.
I think that Arbony sent you this recording on YouTube yesterday, but she'd like me to do it for you live and answer any questions that you have. The first thing we need to do is, if you haven't done it yet, we're going to play Kahoot at the end of the presentation. Please download the Kahoot app from the Apple Store or the Google Play Store so that you can participate. And it's a lot of fun, and it's very short. My whole presentation, including Kahoot, is less than 30 minutes. And then Arbony will be taking the rest of the presentation. So thank you for attending this today. And I want to start off by saying that this is an update webinar. So I'm really just talking about things that have changed from the assessment manual from 2018-19 to 2019-20. But there aren't very many big changes. There were lots of changes last year that we're all aware of with the new tests. But there aren't tons of changes that you aren't already aware of. So I'm going to also just include some general assessment information. The first thing is everybody needs to know which assessments are approved for ABE in North Carolina. NRS approves the assessments for 7 years. So these assessments all have different dates. CASAS Math Goals is approved till March 2022, which obviously isn't 7 years, because NRS didn't give Math Goals a full approval. They gave them conditional approval and asked them to do some more work on it. But we expect that eventually it will also have a full 7-year approval. TABE 11 and 12 is approved until September 7th, 2024. TABE got their approval first, so their approval expires first. Now, traditionally, these tests all get renewed after the first 7 years. We'll see what happens, but I expect that we will use these tests for at least more than 7 years. We don't know yet. CASAS Reading Goals was approved until February 5th, 2025, which is 7 years from when they got approval. The ESL assessments are your old friends. Nothing has changed about ESL assessments. They're approved through February 2nd, 2021. Best Literacy and Best Plus, CASAS Life and Work Listening, CASAS Life and Work Reading, and TABE Class E. These assessments are all currently being revised, and I've been told that they were all sent back to the drawing board by NRS recently, so none of them will be approved very soon. But hopefully before 2021, or hopefully we will get that extended. They will do one or the other. This will be extended, or the test will be approved by then. NRS Assessment Training Database. This is just a reminder that all providers are required to keep and maintain a big database of all trained NRS test administrators. When I was responsible for doing this at Wake Tech and at Central Carolina, the easiest thing was to just have an Excel spreadsheet. Database makes it sound very foreboding and huge, but you just need a spreadsheet with a list of names down the side and across the top, the assessments and the dates that people were initially trained, and then when they were refreshed. They should be refreshed every, well, this says what I just said. You have to include the date of their initial training as well as the dates of all subsequent refresher trainings. And they should be refreshed every 2 years. I'm sure everybody knows that on July 1st, 2019, we announced that instructors may no longer administer assessments to their own students. And I should have mentioned that down at the bottom of the page on each slide, I've put the page number for where you can find this in the assessment manual. So this is on page 14. It's actually on the top of page 14. Testing data must be entered into Colleague for community colleges and LACIS no less than weekly, which is not new either. And this is actually mentioned a number of times in the assessment manual, but you can see it on page 28. So this is a common question that we've all asked ourselves and probably each other. And I've mentioned this in several webinars previously, so this isn't news either, but why have the assessments become more rigorous? In 2014, I think, I'm not positive if it was 2014, but if I remember right, it was 2014 when NRS revised the level descriptors and required that the test manufacturers increase the rigor of their assessments to match the new level descriptors. If you would like to, you can go to the Technical Assistance Guide for Performance Accountability under WIOA and look at Appendix B. There's about 50 pages of NRS level descriptors now. They used to be just a sentence or two, and they are now very long. If they were double spaced, like a college paper is required, they would be several pages long, but they're not. It's very tiny print. This is something that's new. It's not exciting news, but this is new in the assessment manual because the CASAS Goals series is new. So now the assessment manual includes the CASAS Reading Goals Scale Scores and the CASAS Math Goals Scale Scores on page 31. Now this is probably the most interesting or most important thing I'm going to talk about today is the North Carolina definition of CASAS Goals Asterisk and Black Diamond Scores. Officially, they have a very vague definition that you've probably all seen when you're reading their manuals. They define the asterisk scores as an inaccurate score. The student scored too low on the test to receive a scale score. Instruction is recommended prior to retesting the student. Recommended is the issue that we have with how they've described it. Black Diamond is a similar description. It's a conservative estimate. For a pretest, the student scored too high. CASAS recommends retesting with the next assigned test. I'm going to show you what the definition is in North Carolina, and we basically just made these both must instead of recommendations. So the asterisk indicates that the score is too low and the student must be pretested again using a lower form. And the Black Diamond is a little more complicated. The student scored too high for a pretest. You can't enter it as a pretest because there's nowhere for them to go. So the student must be retested with the next assigned test. So LACIS works this way also, but Colleague, which I'm responsible for having programmed, the top score that you can record for math goals is 249, and for reading goals is 262. The actual Black Diamond score for math goals is 250, and for reading goals is 263. If a student scores above 249 or 262 on a pretest, this is an invalid score, and the student must be retested on a different test. So if they get a 250 or a 263 on a pretest, you can't enter that. Colleagues, the top thing you can enter is 249 and 262. If a student scores 250 or 263 on a test, you should record a score of 249 or 262. So this is important, and if you start trying to enter 250 and 263, Colleague will not accept that. Initially, it may have. There was a little confusion with the programmers when we got Colleague programmed, but I believe it's all sorted out now. This is something that Nicole Worley at Sandhills pointed out to me last year, that the TABE Class E scale scores in the assessment manual did not include the scores if you were reporting the test separately. So you have a choice in TABE Class E. You can report reading and writing as one score and listening and speaking as one score, but you don't have to. You can choose just to give the reading test and the speaking test, or the listening test and the writing test. You don't have to give all 4 tests. And if you would like to report them separately, these are the score ranges. Here's the most exciting news, I think. We have approved 8 more software programs that anybody can use in the state of North Carolina for distance ed. They include Achieve Spark 3000, Common Core Achieve Online, Connect Ed, Essential Ed, Key Train, Learning Upgrade, New Readers Press Online, and Pax and Focus. So everything that's highlighted is new. Everything that's not highlighted was already approved last year. And you can read that list anytime you want on pages 36 and 37 of the assessment manual. And on the College and Career Readiness website, there is a clock time approval form if you would like to get another software program approved. You just have to fill out that form. And it's been updated significantly from last year, so please do use the new form. Many of you are familiar with GED in the community, and we actually have a lot of people from Alamance on here today. This is a professional course, correspondence type course that Alamance developed years ago. They've recently redesigned, revamped, made it prettier and bigger and better, and we're now calling it HSE in the community. And this is approved for use all over the state. Alamance is very willing to teach you how to use it and to share it with you. And they've been working on an implementation guide. I don't know if they've finished that yet. Does anybody at Alamance know if that's been finished? I think Doreen's on here. Is Doreen writing the implementation guide?
Yes, this is Doreen.
And have you finished it?
I am almost complete with it. I too have gone out for 2 different surgeries, but it is almost done. So within the next week or so, I'll be sitting down with Jen to go over it.
It's actually Doreen who's in charge of HSE in the community, but Jen can direct you to her. Thank you, Doreen. I also, when I first got to the system office, I realized that we tell people about doing proxy hour studies, but we didn't have very much guidance on how you do that. So I tried to research and find where somebody else had written guidelines for proxy hour studies. And there's just not that much other than what Project Ideal wrote many years ago, which is very minimal. So I have written step-by-step guidelines on completing a proxy hour study, and there's 2 sections. There's step-by-step guidelines, and then there's something called the essential elements of a proxy hour study. These are on pages 42 and 43. It's very long. I don't want to go over it in detail, but you can read it. And the first step is to contact me if you are interested in doing a proxy hour study, because it requires a certain number of students. And I think many of our programs wouldn't have enough students to do a proxy hour study, but if there's more than one program interested in doing one, I could connect you and you could work on them together. But you can see that on pages 42 and 43. So last week we had a new director's orientation here at the system office, and I did a high-level discussion of assessment for them. Those directors submitted questions before we had the new director's orientation, and I thought I'll just include some of those. For most of you, this is probably review, but it's good review. But the first question was, when should students be post-tested? And the answer is, it's not as simple as it sounds. It would be nice if we just said, after 50 hours, students should be post-tested. But we are a state where you can use multiple assessments, and we say that you use the recommendation for the number of hours that this test manufacturer gives. So the test manufacturer gives you a recommended number of hours, which is different for every test, making this a little more complicated. Best Lit and Best Plus is 80 to 100 hours. CASAS is 70 to 100 hours. TABE 11 and 12 is 50 to 60 hours. And then TABE Class E isn't even the same. It's 60 to 95. So 4 different recommended number of hours depending on which test you're using. The second question, which is kind of logical, is can students be post-tested before they reach the recommended number of hours of attendance? And probably all of you know the answer to this. Yes, they can. All test manufacturers have what's called a minimum number of hours of attendance that students must reach before post-testing. And again, it's different for the different assessments. The minimum number of attendance hours is intended for use in exceptional circumstances. So the next logical question is, what's an exceptional circumstance? An exceptional circumstance is that a student is moving back to his country, or that a student is no longer going to be attending the program. An exceptional circumstance is not that the student didn't attend enough and it's the end of the year. That's just a problem. You can't test students with less than the minimum number of hours. So for Best Lit and Best Plus, the minimum number is 60, CASAS is 40, TABE 11 and 12 is 40, and TABE Class C is 50. But it's what you want to do is make sure your students always reach the recommended, or that's the goal, is to get to the recommended number of hours. The reason that's the goal is because that's the number of hours of instruction that the test manufacturers have determined will result in a gain for the students. So it's better for you if you can wait that longer number of hours to test at 70 or 80 for Best Lit or 60 for TABE Class E. You will get better results by waiting to go to test at the recommended number. Can students be post-tested before they reach the minimum number of hours of attendance, which I've basically just said? No, this is a very simple answer. Students cannot be post-tested before they reach the minimum number. That's just one of your 35% of students that won't get a post-test. Question 4, is there any data about how other states are doing with the new CASAS and TABE tests for ABE ASE students? So the simple answer is yes, there is some data for TABE because TABE was approved earlier than CASAS, and some states have been using TABE for over a year now. CASAS math and reading is really new, so there's not much data on that yet. I'm sure you guys have some anecdotal data by now. And DRC does have enough data that they determined that their maximum allowable times were too long and that most students didn't need that, and they've reduced the amount of time with NRS approval, which I'm sure you've all heard about by now. We've sent out a couple communications about that, and TABE has sent out many communications. But the simple answer is yes for TABE, not really for CASAS. Oops. I do follow occasionally, not every day, but there are a few threads that I follow on links about the new assessments. And so if you'd like to see what other state directors and program directors are saying, or assessment people in other states, you can go to this links assessment group and read what they're saying. Everything in my PowerPoint is a link. Everything that should be is a link that you can click on. So after the webinar, we will send you a PowerPoint so that you can click on those links if you'd like to. All right, so you should be seeing the Kahoot screen right now. You need to go to your app. That off for a minute. And oh, there you are. A lot of you have found it. You enter this PIN at the bottom of the app. There's a square that says enter your PIN. So you push that and enter this 73866, and we will be able to see your name. And it's a competition. A couple things to know. I'm sure most of you are familiar with Kahoot, but if you're not, you get extra points for speed. So even though all of you might give the same answer, the person who gives it fastest will get a higher score. So at the end, we will see who wins the gold, who wins the silver, and who wins the bronze medal. We've got 7 people. There are 14 people in the webinar. So let's see if we get a few more, but I won't wait very long because you can actually start the game in the middle. So if you don't get in quite in time, you can still enter after we've gotten started. All right, we'll start with 7. We have Susan, Michael Tilley, Reedwell, D, BCCC, Lori, and WCC. 7 players. There's only 8 questions, so this won't take us very long. And at the bottom of the page, it lists the Kahoot pin. I'm not going to read that one. So if you ever have a question about North Carolina, what should you prefer? Oh, great. This is the first time that everybody got it right. The first thing you do is consult the North Carolina Assessment Manual. Great job. And Michael Tilley is in the lead, followed by WCC, Susan, Reedwell, and BCCC. Question number 2. What is the first step to becoming a certified CASAS or TABE test administrator? Once again, you all got it right. Congratulations. The first step is to take the online course offered by CASAS and TABE on their websites. The circular yellow choice, shadowing a trained colleague administering the test, is certainly a best practice and a great thing to do. The red triangle choice, the system office doesn't really offer training on assessment anymore and expects the test manufacturers to offer those trainings. And of course, the green square is also a best practice of offering trainings by a qualified trainer at your location to new trainers. And I'm so excited everybody got that right. Michael's still in the lead. I think it's the same group. No, maybe Lori has jumped in there. Question 3. How often are test administrators required to complete a refresher training? Wow, you guys answered fast. And the red is the correct answer. Every 2 years. If you'd like to do it every year or twice a year, you're welcome to do that. But the requirement is every 2 years. Question, oh, we got Michael still in the lead. Susan is on fire, it says. 3 answers in a row. Question 4. Volunteer tutors may not administer NRS assessments. True or false? You guys, that's a great percentage. The other 2 presentations I've done this week were about 50-50. This is definitely a false statement. Volunteers are welcome to administer NRS assessment. Your volunteers are welcome. They just have to meet the same qualifications that anyone at your location needs to meet. They have to have been trained, and you have to keep a record of them in your database of test administrators when they were initially tested and their refresher trainings. So good job, everybody. BCCC is on a streak now. Good job. Michael is still in the lead, but Susan is very close behind. Number 5, if an ESL student tests out on an ESL test, can he be assessed using an ABE test and remain in an ESL class? Yay, most of you knew the correct answer to this one too. Yes, this is correct. An ESL student can be kept in an ESL class and assessed on an ABE test and vice versa. They will be, if you assess them on an ABE test in colleague or LACES, they will be placed as an ABE student. But the computer and the state leadership and NRS don't care what classroom you put them in. You should put them in whatever is the best fit for them. So it can also be vice versa. You have an ESL student who's on an ESL test, but the best fit for them is an ABE class. You can put you can put somebody on an ESL test and in an ABE class. But it looks like almost all of you knew that. Congratulations.
Dan, let me jump in. This is especially important for our ILCE grantees on the phone. We've had this question a lot. If an ESL student can take a test and be placed in ABE courses. So again, just like Dan said, yes, they can. Now, I'm not sure if colleague is set up to track the ILCE students correctly. So I will follow up on that regarding those ESL students that place out of the ESL test.
Thanks, Arbony. Yeah, this was a question that I know there was confusion with for probably my first 10 years in the system. but and that's why I included it. I get this question at least a couple times a month, and it's important that you know that you can put a student in whatever class is the best fit for him. It doesn't matter what assessment they're on. Michael's still in the lead. Ooh, Susan's getting even closer. Question 6. Which of the following assessments is not an NRS-approved ESL test? So we got a little confusion here, but still pretty good. CASAS Reading Goals is not approved for ESL. CASAS Life and Work Reading is. It's no longer an ABE test, but it continues to be the CASAS ESL test. So CASAS Reading Goals is the correct answer. It is not an ESL test. And Susan has jumped into the lead. Look at that. And Lori's right behind her. Next question. Which of the following assessments is not an NRS-approved ABE test? Everybody got it right. CASAS Life and Work Reading. You must have been listening a minute ago when I said this. CASAS Life and Work Reading is no longer an ABE test as of June 30th, 2019. And I think we're at our last question. Susan is in the lead. Michael, Reedwell, WCC, and Lori are all close behind. So for the last question, number 8, how frequently must assessment data be entered into colleague and LACES? You got it right, great. You're supposed to enter that data every week, attendance and assessment data. Susan pulled out into the lead and gets the gold medal. Lori has the silver, and WCC, which is Western, we're not sure what WCC is, but somebody can tell us. You got the bronze.
Wilkes Community College.
Wilkes Community College. Congratulations, everyone. Thanks for playing, and we will now take questions, and the rest is really Arbony's. But I'm happy to talk about any assessment questions you might have. You can either unmute yourself and talk to us or type in the chat.
Do we have any questions about assessments? Or have they all been answered?
That was awesome.
Okay. Yay. That's exciting.
And even though Eric and I were in cahoots, we didn't win.
But you were doing really good.
Okay. Well, it looks like we don't have any questions. So thank you so much, Dan, for the presentation. I'm going to just provide a few updates very quickly. I have received a lot of questions about time and effort. So I just want to let you know what you need to do before October 15th. So just a friendly reminder, you should have received information from Judy Howe this morning regarding how to log into, let's see, Arbony, can you repeat what you said about ESL students staying in ESL if they test out? Yes, you can still have your students engage in your ESL classes even if they need to take the ABE assessments. Is that correct, Dan?
That's absolutely correct.
Okay. And especially for IELCE, again, I don't know if the programming is correct for the IELCE program and colleague. LACES, you should be fine. Colleague, I need to follow up and see if you can actually track that information correctly, and I will follow up and get back with the colleges on that. Did I answer your question, Terry? Okay, awesome. So jumping back to time and effort. You should have received email communication from Judy Howe regarding how to log into our new Moodle site that is housed on the virtual learning community website now. She sent the login information as well as the documents that will need to be uploaded by, on, or before October 15th. You need to submit your time and effort documents for July through September. You will not be submitting October because remember, you're always reporting a month behind. Okay, so the Moodle website is moodle.nccommunitycolleges.edu. We will no longer use the Perkins site. Just a reminder, we will no longer be uploading information into the Perkins site. However, your username and password that you use to log into the old Moodle site should work for this new Moodle site. Now, we have a lot of new directors on the phone and in my group. So if you are using your old director's login information, we need to change that. That is a security violation. Now, we can no longer change it here. Our personnel here at the system office will not be able to reset your password. So you need to click on the link that is located right here. If you need assistance, you need to contact the Virtual Learning Community Center Help Desk right here, vlccenter@surrey.edu, or you can give them a call. Again, we will no longer be able to reset usernames or passwords here at the office on Jones Street. Now, when you're ready to upload your information, you have your dashboard and all of your information on the left-hand side. But specifically for time and effort reporting, you're going to scroll all the way down to the bottom of the page, and you're going to click on the tab that says Reporting. Okay? When you click on the tab that says Reporting, you're going to click on Time and Effort Submissions. There you will find the original time and effort course. Nothing has changed. We still have the submission calendar there for you for your reference. We have the time and effort guidance there for you, as well as the forms. We're still using the same forms. Scroll down. For those of you that are submitting monthly, or your staff that submits monthly, you will use this area. We are no longer submitting time and effort based upon if you have only 243 or only 225 or only 231. All of your information will be submitted on one sheet if you're submitting documentation monthly. And I'll just click on August 2019 because, again, we're going all the way back. It looks just like this, just like the old time and effort course that was located in Perkins. Scroll all the way down. When you're ready to add your submission, you're going to click Add Submission. You're going to drag and drop your file here, or you can click and add your file. And once you're finished, you're going to click Save Changes, and we will be able to see that you've submitted your time and effort documentation. Are there any questions about time and effort? Are there any questions about Moodle? If you do have questions, after we conclude the call, please do not hesitate to reach out. Okay? Fabulous. And again, if you have questions, or if you cannot reach someone at the VLC when you submit your help desk ticket, please let me know, and I will try to help you expedite the process, because I know you want to update your information in a timely manner and upload it in a timely manner. Okay, moving on quickly. RISE professional development sessions. As you know, we are redesigning the developmental education courses here at the system office. If you are planning, and this is for community colleges, if you are planning to implement RISE during the fall semester in 2020, please sign up for the RISE PD sessions in October. We're going to have English and math faculty, specifically for CCR, to talk about the BSP transition courses, BSP 4000-002 and BSP 4000-003. These trainings are all over the state. We have a training located at Lenoir Community College. That is Monday, October 14th, 2019. We have a training at Davidson County Community College. That is Tuesday, October 15th, 2019. And we also have a training at Blue Ridge Community College, and that is Wednesday, October 16th, 2019. I will send this information to you just in case you need that. There is a link to sign up for those RISE PD sessions. Also, be on the lookout. By late fall, probably around December, we will have a RISE manual available specifically for CCR courses. This is super exciting. So we'll be sending that out to you soon once Susan Honeycutt completes the edits and we go through all of that information. We'll have it out and ready for you all to use. Just a friendly reminder for the community colleges, the budget has yet to be passed. So when the budget is passed, you will receive notification, not from us, but you will receive notification from our business office. Okay. Any questions thus far? Okay. So lastly, we're a little bit early, wanted to talk to you about some topics that we can think about for the next couple of webinars that we have scheduled. We are planning to have one in November, so I wanted to go ahead and get us thinking about some of the topics that are burning that you may want to discuss so that I can prepare some answers for you. So are there any burning topics right now that you have that you think we should include in our November monthly webinar?
Arbony, this is Penelope from Beaufort Community College.
Yeah.
I need some clarification when they are enrolling in RISE and they're going to be a RISE student. We're enrolling them in the CCR program. If they don't get that 12 hours of class time, is that going to hurt us as far as our numbers, not having an MSG, not having a post-test?
So what I'll do is I will consult with Dr. Everett on that and see how that may affect some of our smaller programs, and I'll get back with you. Okay. What I would like for you to do is put that in an email so I can make sure that I give her the correct information. The whole purpose of the 12 proxy contact hours number is for those colleges that are smaller or that are very, very large. They may not be able to keep up with the contact hour number, so we wanted to allocate some hours to keep things clean when you're entering information in the web attendance and when you're keeping your own records and documentation. I do understand that some providers are saying that it's more than 12 hours, so we will look at adjusting that number. But as for right now, we're at the 12-hour threshold until we can get the manual completed and until we can complete the proxy contact hour study. But Penelope, send me that specific question and I will address that.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions?
Hi there, this is ACC. Just some information about the multiple pathways, when the next trainings are, and some more information to help roll it out would be useful.
Okay, I will get that information for you. So
thank you so much.
Training and implementation.
That's great, thank you.
No problem, thank you. Any other topics? Okay. Yes, no, maybe. Okay, so I have to come up with my own topics. Okay, so specifically for those that are ILCE grantees, in the November webinar, because we didn't get to talk about it today, we will be talking about your programs and some of the new things that we're planning to do for the program year. So I'll send that information out to my ILCE grantees. Okay, well, if we don't have any other questions, comments, or concerns, we're going to go ahead and adjourn the meeting. Again, if you hang up and you figure out you have some more questions about assessments, please contact myself and Dan. If you have other general Title II questions, please contact me. And thank you so much for joining the call this morning, and thank you for all the things that you do for our students, and I look forward to working with you this year.